here you go. Go. Good? That's a big fish.
Full hand on tail, yeah, looks so good.
Look how broad that thing is.
What if I was on the full medium?
Beautiful. Oh my, that's a big fish.
Flip! That's what I've been waiting for all day.
That's over 6. Oh. That's a good fish. Donkey. That's a heavy spot.
Oh my god, please get the net. Please get the net.
I got you, buddy.
That was the weirdest one ever. There you go. Net. What the? Oh yeah, he's got another 4.5.
Oh my god, this might be it. If I can land this fish. Holy sh! 5.06. She's thick. Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy sh! What a beast. Dude, that's it. 4 pounds smaller. I need a picture. Oh wow.
That might be a 4. That might be a 4.
Yeah, it's a 4. You're gonna show that off to 4 pounds, 12 ounces. Holy. Trailer just getting that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Dude, that's unbelievable.
I'm still swimming. What happened to me?
Yup. 5.3. Sorry for freaking out. My first fish of the year. There we go. That's a big fish. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes! 4.14 though. Gee. Not too shabby.
Good evening, everybody.
Hola.
Welcome back to the show. Check it out. We got something new on the wall.
Hey, look, it's us.
It's fancy. I'm blocking Andrew's fish, so you're not allowed to look at it because it's bigger than my smallmouth. It wasn't even his PB smallmouth, and it still beat my PB smallmouth. So this is how I'll be sitting for the rest of the night, right? Just like, there we go. Just like that. How's everybody doing?
Which one was that one?
That was it ended up being like 5.18 pounds in Vermont this summer.
Is that the one on the Okashira?
Yes, sir.
5.2.
Let me get out.
5.25.
Yep.
I believe. There it is. Hi, everybody.
Not too shabby, eh?
Welcome to Reel Nothern Bass.
We got, you know, we actually do and don't have a lot to talk about tonight. It's pretty straightforward. The topic, as you saw from the video, we're going to talk about spring bass fishing 101. It's a topic that I do want to oh my God, I just forgot the word. It's basic language. Yeah, wow. Anyway, come back to every year. Jesus, revisit. Wow, that's bad. I couldn't remember the word visit.
It's the age.
Jesus Christ, we're out to a bad start already.
Good.
I tell you what, these 1 to 2 a.m. nights every night for the last 10 years are starting to catch up to me real fast. But anyway, we're going to do spring fishing, like spring bass fishing 101, kind of from like early, a little after ice out to, you know, probably like mid 50-degree water temp. And a lot of what we're going to cover is location, because there's 1,000 things out there where people talk about baits and gear and like regions, but that doesn't help. So we're actually going to pull up a bunch of depth charts, and we're going to go over it from that perspective. We are going to cover baits and colors. Might touch on gear, but it's kind of like, you know, a lot of that is personal preference, and then it's very technique specific, the whole 9 yards. But happy to answer questions on that if they come up. But we're really going to cover a lot of spots, and then, you know, the wheres and whys of everything for where you guys should be looking at. And again, we're going to show you depth charts, so you can actually see, like, we're just going to pick lakes at random that we've never been to, and you can see a lot of the contours and depths and just areas to target in general. Hopefully that'll paint a pretty good picture for you.
If we accidentally pick your honey hole, don't say anything.
Yeah, just seriously.
Just let it go. We're not trying to pick apart your honey hole.
I mean, we're
going to, but
it's gonna be pure random, with the exception of like lakes we know, like we're avoiding those intentionally, right? Just in case. but we're just going to pick something at random and go for there. But before we get into that, anyway, how the hell's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Oh, good. I'm glad. What are you going to ask me? No, you don't care.
How you doing?
I've been better. I'm kidding. I'm great.
I did one of these.
Yeah. So, trying to think. I do want to talk about the New Hampshire Outdoor Expo because that is this weekend. So we're going to do that. But for everybody that is here, again, thank you very much. We appreciate you as always. Last week, quick recap, was insane. You guys just blew us away with what you did for, what we did for giveaways and what we got for raffles. Almost everybody's raffle prizes have been shipped. There was one, I forget off the top of my head who won it. It was the terminal tackle box with also another box full of soft plastics. That didn't ship yet. Excuse me. That didn't ship yet because we didn't have a box big enough for it. Get that sorted out soon. We'll get it shipped. Other than that, everybody else that's going to meet us at the expo, we have your stuff situated and sorted. I did pick a winner for both the hoodie and the raffle to fish with us. I posted that on the Facebook page. So if you're interested in Reel Nothern Bass on Facebook, you can find that information there. I still need to pick a winner from the memberships. I will do that tonight. And I think that's it. We did fish this weekend. Quick fishing report. We can make this really quick.
Went fishing down on the Cape, and we caught some fish. It was very slow, and I think it was just the bite was off. I mean, we were doing pretty much the exact same thing we were doing 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, literally identical.
Yeah, and they were there. They just were not biting. We were marking fish all over the place, and they're looking at jerkbaits like, pit. Got a couple, bunch of pickerel. And that's about it.
You know what's funny?
Jerkbaits, and you got one on
Jackhammer again.
The Jackhammer.
Firecraw Jackhammer. What's this? The fourth season we've been talking about that?
And I think that was it. Nothing on the jigs.
No. Literally every fish you and Steve caught was on a jerkbait, and I got my one on a jackhammer. Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny about it is, like, I have talked a lot about my previous lack of confidence in a jerkbait, but that's not really there. And I didn't fish it as hard as you and Steve did, but I had that jerkbait in my hand the majority of the time we were out there. Mm-hmm. I literally, in the last 10 minutes we were out there, I finally got a bite, and I looked up, like, I was frustrated with the day because I only had the one fish.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
And granted, it's not like anybody else at the scoreboard, but Andrew had 4, Steve had 3, and I had the 1. And I looked at him, I was like, dude, I'm ready to go home whenever. I'm annoyed. You guys, like, I stuck out this jerkbait way more than usual, and I'm not even getting bit on it. Never mind the fact I'm not catching anything. And, you guys did it. I'm just not sure what it is I'm doing wrong. And then all of a sudden, I could feel my rod just, like, going away from me a little bit. And I swung into it and looked at Andrews and really, like, I swear to God, I wish I was joking that this is happening right now. It ended up being a pickerel, but it was just funny that very moment. 7.5 hours we fished. In the last 10 effing minutes we were out there, that happened. The moment I started pissing and moaning about not getting a bite on a jerkbait. And then a pickerel was like, okay, buddy, I got you.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I'll help. Oh, my God. I caught a pickerel that engulfed.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
My jerkbait. Like, engulfed. The only thing that was sticking out of its mouth was the bill of the jerkbait, and that was it.
Got it back. Fish went back swimming. Kind of.
Kind of.
I mean, but, yeah.
It's not going to live much longer, but.
Jared, that's just a monster, buddy. I'm not doing IPAs anymore. Can't do it. Yeah, so I don't know, man. It was slow. The last time we were out there 2 weeks ago, we were down in the Cape Cod area. We decided to go to the same pond. I almost went to a new pond. I chickened out, and I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for it, but it is what it is. I don't necessarily think we would have lit up the scoreboard at the other place, but it was certainly much better aligned. We're going to kind of cover that when we're going to go through spots and, like, areas to focus on this time of the year going into the spring. That first spot was better aligned for the conditions. Granted, does kind of post-front conditions. I mean, we had a snowstorm Friday into Saturday, and it was just, it's always tough when you're fishing in those conditions. So regardless, you know what? We didn't get skunked. We're still out there. It was nice to break out the monotony of, like I say, monotony, not being able to fish. We missed 1 week. So it was good to get out, and we caught fish, and I'm happy for that. So that's the fishing report. Oh, that was going to say, the last time we were there 2 weeks ago, water was 46 to 48. It was 40 to 42 this past Sunday. So that's a pretty significant drop, even like at this time of the year. And you could, like, when we got on them that last time out, like, we have obviously the benefit of active target now. And we weren't staring at it to fish with it. It was just scan around. Yep, I can see stuff. Good. We're in the right area. I know what to do. And just stop looking at it and just fish. And this time, like, dude, we didn't mark, like, next to anything. So
We marked some fish, but it wasn't like
not like last time.
not like last time. Like you could see them moving in and out of where we were, but it wasn't like a consistent like there's a fish. Okay, there's a fish. It was like there's a fish, and then like 20 minutes go by. I'm like, oh, there's another one. There's a couple more.
Yeah.
And then it was. I don't think we marked any bass.
But there was that one, and it was funny. It was right when you caught that pickerel. And I thought you caught the bass. You were looking at it, you were marking it like, oh, it's a bass. It was like 30 feet out in front of the boat. And it was very definitive. When a decent sized largemouth or even a smallmouth like turns and swims inside of what you're seeing on the active target, you can tell by the body shape, and you can see the fins and the whole 9 yards. And I had the range set really, really short because we were only in like 4 feet of water. And we oddly enough, despite the colder water, the fish were shallower this time than they were last time. We're going to talk about that. But like he saw it, and then like 3 seconds later sets the hook. I was like, oh, hell yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was the only one we saw. And the beauty of active target and focusing around areas like this time of the year, if you find the bait fish stacked up, the bass are going to be there. So you don't have to mark bass. Just marking activity in general is good enough. And that's what we saw. We just see a cloud of bait fish here and there, half dozen-ish or so at a time. And they were definitely hunkered down inside what little vegetation they could find. So I don't know. It was still fun.
I did have something giant follow up my depths, though. I don't know what it was.
Also,
could have been a bass, could have been a giant pickerel, but I mean, it was something like this. I don't know. You can't even see like something that long, and it was pretty fat. It could have been a bass, but I don't know.
Probably Mondo pick.
It probably was.
It just makes you sleep better at night knowing that. Just pretend that.
Yeah.
You have enough horror stories and nightmares from other big fish that have come and gone. So let's just pretend this one's a pickerel.
Okay. All right, I'll sleep easier tonight.
Yeah. Okay, real quick to the chat. There's so many people I didn't get to, but anyway, I appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much. T-Money, I will answer this question real quick. Do you guys use only Megabass, or are there any other brands you use?
Oh, dude.
We use pretty much everything. Megabass is the preference. Do you remember what you were fishing?
Nice. I was using the Lucky Craft Ghost Minnow.
Pointer SP100.
SP, yeah, was it? It just said SP on. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's the 100 because that's what I always bought was the 100s.
It looks sexy. I was like, ooh, I like those colors.
Before I started going heavy into the Megabass, the Lucky Craft was my go-to, and then from there, I have Strike Kings and Smithwicks, Berkeley Cutters. I'm trying to think. The Rapala, the one with the feather. I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden what that model is.
Oh, the
X-Rap.
yes, that one.
Jesus, I don't even know. Like, actually, I have a couple of Lucky Craft too, but we fish a lot. I mostly prefer the Megabass 110s. They're just nice. They have all the colors I like. They work really well. But the Lucky Craft pointers are a phenomenal jerkbait.
I love
Cannot
them.
recommend them.
I like how they're like short and fat. They're like perfect little profile for bait fish.
Yep. Oh, damn. Gary, thank you, buddy. Appreciate
Hey.
you. Champion. All right, let's talk about the New Hampshire Outdoor Expo for this weekend, and then we're going to get into the whole Spring Fishing 101, and we'll go from there. But I did have that pinned up. Mr. Dan there was telling you guys to get into the New Hampshire Expo this weekend. It is in Milford, New Hampshire, at the Hampshire Dome. So if you get off of 101 in this area, we call it the bypass because it bypasses the center of Milford.
Thank God.
It's just Route 101. You'll see there's a car dealership there, whatever. It's really easy. Route 101 to Route 13, and then from 13, it's like 2 minutes down the road. It's the easiest place to get to. If there's no parking at the dome itself, there's a little kind of overflow parking lot in the back, I believe. If not, then you park just up the street on Route 13 at Sertronics. It's a free shuttle that run you down to the dome. We will be there all weekend. Andrew informed me last night that we are going to. You took Friday off.
I took Friday off, so I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Should be there all day, each day.
It's gonna be good.
Unless we go for lunch, but other than that, we'll be there all day.
Yep. You know what? I'm thinking sushi Saturday night. Friday night, I'll do dinner with the family, but I'm thinking Saturday night maybe we do sushi. Yoshimama's right down the road. And the expo closes at 7.
Sake House is right down the road. Jade's right down the road.
Do they have good sushi?
Yeah. Jay actually has really good sushi.
Okay, that's good enough for me. That's even easier.
They got like the fancy ones, the crunchy fancy ones with the sauces and stuff all on it.
Okay, yeah, no, that works.
Yeah,
All
they
right.
got good food.
So anyway, yeah, we'll be there all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have our own booth, so just come find us, Reel Nothern Bass. We're not doing a seminar Friday, but we are doing a seminar at 5 o'clock on Saturday and again at 12 o'clock on Sunday. So you have two opportunities. Saturday, we're going to revisit the whole like kind of early spring fishing, just tips in general, right? Because that's a really, really good one to cover and reiterate this time of the year. I know quite a few people couldn't make it to the New England New England Fishing Expo that wanted to hear it. I mean, I posted on the channel, but we're going to do it again, just a little different focus on it this time, a little more expansive. And then Sunday, we're going to talk about jigs and jerkbaits for this time of the year, which is going to be fun. It'll be a little different, and that's something we can both wax eloquently on it. Obviously, jigs we can both cover. Jerkbaits, Andrew's got a little more confidence in it at this point now than I do, but I've done enough, and I know enough, and I'm confident enough that it's going to be a good topic for the two of us to cover.
And we could probably get somebody else on here.
For what? For
Jerkbaits? Just somebody who's very, very knowledgeable, who we've had on before.
At the seminar?
Oh, it's seminar. My bad.
That'd be cool, though. I know exactly what you're talking about.
No, I was not paying attention.
No. All 3 days, 603. Damn right. So, yeah, anyway, that's the plan. So that's what we're going to be doing. And if you guys are interested, come on down. So we have new hats. See that?
Sorry, I'm wearing all the
Fancy.
Livestream stuff.
Fancy. New Reel Nothern Bass logo. Stitched. It's not raised. White. I got this in black camo, and I got a trucker hat, too.
I like it.
We got decals. We got T-shirts. We got hoodies. You name it. And if you guys can't make it down there to get one, I'm really sorry, but we'll figure something out after the fact.
Yes.
New Hampshire Outdoor Expo, Milford, New Hampshire, Hampshire Dome. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday it's open 1 to 8. Saturday is 10 to 7. Sunday is 10 to 5. $15. Kids 12 and under are free. Come on down. Come hang out. Come say hi. Buy some stuff. Saturday afternoon we'll be doing the flipping/pitching competition as well at our booth. We'll have. I need to find left-handed reels. I just realized that's a problem because we're both right-handed reels.
How's the lefty?
Kyle. Wonder if I can ask Kyle.
Is he? Oh, yeah.
Kyle's lefty. Yeah, because he gives us shit every time.
He doesn't switch hands.
So anyway, we'll get it sorted. We'll have rods on hand so you guys can do it. Raffling off actually a custom rod rack that I had built for me from one of our subscribers. Thing looks awesome. But I talked about it with him. He was like, "Yeah, man, go ahead, raffle it off. So it'd be cool." And then I'll get another one down the road anyway.
Really, really sweet.
I hear people outside the door. Can I help you? So, all right, let's get on to spring fishing. Anywho, before we do that, if you guys haven't done so, please drop a like on the stream. We would greatly appreciate it. Oh, Kyle, you're in Texas, you jackass. That's on you, bud. We did ship your stuff, by the way, although I sent that email last night. So I got you. Yeah, let's do spring fishing. Okay, so I have 4 topics for us to cover. Uno number 1, we're going to cover baits. 2, we're going to colors because it's important enough to cover the 2 of these separately. Then 4 is a maybe. Well, 4 is going to be our 3. It's a maybe, but gear. Because I'm not sure really how much I want to talk about that. We'll leave time for questions. But we're going to rip through all these pretty fast because that's like, there's not a lot to talk about that. Then we're going to dedicate the rest of the stream just covering areas and spots for what you should be focusing on for this time of the year. We'll talk about specific conditions, water temperature, weather patterns. Like all that matters greatly in making your decisions. And I would not judge us on our previous weekend experience, please. All the other experiences we've had, it's worked out really nice. So
I caught him.
All right.
Love you.
You caught him. I caught him. One singular.
Yes.
You caught short for them.
Them
Plurals.
Pluridium. That's a cool
I
word.
deserve that. It's good. What? Pluridium?
Yeah.
Is that like a?
Caught a pluridium amount of bass this past
I
weekend.
would say is it multiples of a rare earth element?
Could be. Is that a real word? I don't know.
That's what we can call it when I catch 2 giants in the same day because it's that rare.
That was pluridium. Today.
I can't do lefty reels. I got no problem with it, but I understand it, but I like my righties. Okay, so let's talk about baits first. All right, I already know like a whole laundry list of what it is, but Your top 3 go-tos for, we're talking kind of early spring fishing, but from like a broad sense that, pretty much anybody could pick up, right? And jump right into it and find plenty of information out there for articles on what to do with it that time of the year, the whole 9 yards. What are your top 3 picks?
Mine?
Yes.
Jerkbait, jig, and chatterbait. Or bladed jig.
Love it. Honestly, I can't
so
change
many
that.
more, though.
No, and that's the thing. There's probably a dozen different things you could do this time of the year when you're talking about baits. But yeah, top 3, I wholeheartedly agree. Jerkbait, well, in my order of preference, jig, jerkbait, bladed jig. Let's expand upon that. If you're not interested in throwing any one of those 3, jig, jerkbait, bladed jig, other phenomenal options for baits, techniques, whatever you want to call it, this time of the year would be a lipless crankbait. I would say a flat side crankbait.
Don't forget a square bill.
Yep, square bill. That's going to be a little bit warmer water temp, but certainly fits into what we're talking about. I will mention blade bait, depending upon where you're fishing. Absolutely. Hair jig, Ned rig.
Drop shot.
I actually won't put drop shot in there.
You can get away with drop shot almost all year long.
It's one of those I've had so much more success.
It's got to be in specific situations, though. I wouldn't go out and grind a drop shot all day and like.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like the amount of success we've had on everything else far overshadows our success. Like early season that we've had with a drop shot. It's so rare. Not to say it can't be done.
Get a couple on it, but to really like strengthen your chances of getting a fish that day. I wouldn't pick it up until the water's a lot warmer.
Yep. So jig, jerkbait, bladed jig, lipless crank, flat side square bill, Ned rig is really good. Hair jig, blade bait. There was something I just had on the tip of my tongue. Spider jig, which is, it's a jig, but it's a little bit different. You can throw swim bait on a naked head. There was something right at the tip of my tongue that I was just about to say, and I'm really upset with myself that I already just lost it.
Glides,
yes, thank you. You're not wrong, though. It's not easy, but my God, it does produce. Dude, what is that one bait that I'm forgetting? This is going to bother me. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. It's like forgetting the word visit earlier.
Tube?
Yes, thank you. That's Carolina not what I was thinking about, but I almost forgot about tube. Carolina rig, I might put in that list. But absolutely a tube, 100%.
Well, that's usually not like, we're not like, oh, it's 46 degree water today. Let's go throw a Carolina rig. That usually isn't top of the list.
No. But it can work. But you know what? That's good enough. If I remember it, I'll come back to it. Like, it's a pretty extensive list for what you can throw. I would, Scott, I don't know if I'd say a fluke in the sense of, for me personally, because okay, now you got me thinking. So I've never thrown it this early in the year, but I can certainly see where it could work in certain situations and conditions.
Nate Smith Auto Detailing. Clean boat helps.
Clean boat. You're not wrong.
That's pretty good. That was good.
Spinnerbait, thank you. That spinnerbait, I would say, is like 45 degrees and up. It's like it starts to be pretty consistent. Sub 45, oof, that's a tough sell. Again, my personal experience. I'm sure you can find other articles where people can kind of expand upon that. So I would never say no to it. It's just not something that I personally am going to recommend because it's not something that I do. Mostly because I can think of, except for at this moment, obviously, for some reason, I can think of about 10 other things that I have thrown and done very, very well with that I wouldn't even think to pick up a spinnerbait most of the time. And so again, like that 45 degrees and up, that's where it's like it starts to become really viable. So we can throw it in. Tamiki rig, thank you, Kevin. Thank you. If you're on deeper water, Tamiki rig, 110%. That has to be on your list. So that's a lot of your baits. I did see a question that I want to expand upon because Sandwich, which by the way, if you're anywhere near Milford, New Hampshire, you need to go to their website. Oh, sorry, their Facebook page. And check in the morning to see where they're going to be. They're either in Milford, New Hampshire, or they're in Amherst, New Hampshire on Route 101. either way, very easy to find. Their food is phenomenal. And I feel bad because I talked about their carne asada sub to Andrew the other day, and he texted me. He's like, "Where the hell are they?" I'm like, "They're not in Milford today. They're in Amherst," so he couldn't get it.
I was so bummed. I was so excited all day, and like I was excited from the time he told me until lunch break at work the next day, and I got there and I was like, "Where the fuck are they? What happened?" But it's all right.
Yeah.
We got one eventually.
All right. So the question is, how do you work the chatterbait? We've done actually a couple of videos on this, and what I find works really, really well in the spring, or this time of the year, right? From ice out into early spring, we're like low 50s, like 53 to 55 degrees max and colder. And now this is the coldest water I've ever got one on a bladed jig. I've got quite a few in like that 43 to 46 range, but this is the first time I got one in 40-degree water on it. And it's all been consistent in that same range from 40 now up to about 53, maybe 55 degrees. Sporadic, varied retrieve.
Yeah.
Bomb it out. And I typically like throwing a 3/8 ounce because if I'm working that, like this is where I'm using this for largemouth. And I'm doing this shallower more often than not. But by all means, you get a little deeper. But regardless of what you're doing, I'd prefer to have the 3/8 versus the 1/2 ounce because I work in a lot of pauses at just random intervals. So I don't want a 1/2 ounce that's going to sink really, really fast. I want to kind of roll into that fall versus as soon as you stop, 1/2 ounce just dive straight down. 3/8 kind of hover, it doesn't hover there a little bit, but there's a significant enough difference. And we've proven that time and time again. So throw it out there. I'm going to go let it fall down to regardless of whatever depth I'm in, just to get it to hit the top of any vegetation or rocks that I can find. And then I'm going to just completely vary my retrieve the whole way. I'm going to go steady, and then I'm going to speed it up, and then I'm going to pop the rod, pause, speed up into it, slow roll, speed up, slow roll, pop. Like there's no consistency to it.
No, not at all. It's just cranking weird, popping the rod weird, but not just like this the whole time you're retrieving. Like
Subtle.
slow, steady retrieve, and then like a fast half crank and a pop, and then slow, steady retrieve, pop, slow, steady retrieve, fast crank. It's just like
It's trying to make it look like a struggling fish,
right, like
struggling bait fish.
right.
And the thing that we've found far more often than not, it's one of those, like rarely do we find something that's like, it's this 100% of the time. But more often than not, it's that pause that we get bit on. It's either going to be when you get hung up in the veggies just a little bit and you just likely like pop it out. You don't want to rip the damn thing out and send it forward like several feet. You just want to pop it out so it jumps forward a couple of inches.
Just enough to free it from whatever it's grabbing.
Yeah.
Really.
And just work either right after that because there is going to be a subsequent pause as you catch back up to it and get going, or just working in a pause yourself. That more often than not is what gets bit. It's either immediately on the pause or immediately after you start moving it after the pause. That's like been the most consistent thing for us when working a chatterbait, jackhammer, bladed jig, whatever you want to call it. And I will say I stick just to a jackhammer. I have tried a thunder cricket. I do like it. They're definitely two different styles though in their intensity of their vibration. And what the hell is that new one from Berkeley?
The backwards one? The backwards man.
Jesus.
You seen that new one? It's pretty crazy looking. I want to try it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think, and that's it in a nutshell. If you go to our channel and you go down through the videos, I think on our homepage you'll see like playlists, or you can probably just go to that tab and you will see one that's bass fishing quick tips. And I talk about that, I think actually in 2 separate videos. So anyway, if you go there on the channel, you can find it, and I tell you, it's going to help. Slobber knocker, thank you. That was the other one.
Or you can go and watch our video that we had the 27-pound day, and that's literally how we caught.
That's an even better example of when I did it. Because I was out with Kristen 2 years ago, and that was the first one I made. It was a 1-minute video, which oddly enough, I looked at the statistics on that earlier today because I was just curious. It's literally 1 minute long, and the average watch time was only like 60-something%. So people literally couldn't, the majority, like the vast majority of people could not sit through the entirety of a 1 minute video. That's sad. But at any rate, I had just caught a fish.
It's not a 10-second clip on Instagram.
It's fucking sad. So I caught a fish, threw it back. I started explaining what I was doing with it. And then, like, as I got to the end of explaining, all of a sudden, I hook up on a fish. I'm like, oh, like, as I'm talking about that pause, I pause and I get like a half turn. All of a sudden, I catch like another 2-pounder. It was awesome. And last year, that 27-pound bag he was talking about, I'm doing the same thing again, talking about that, explaining it, and then he's in the background. All of a sudden, he leans into another 5-pounder, doing literally that. Like he's demonstrating as he's fishing. You can see it on his shoulder. All of a sudden, he's just.
I was literally listening to him and doing exactly what he was telling me to do, pretty much. I mean, we were already doing that all day, but I was just doing it as he was talking, and then it was just like thunk. I was like, "Oh shit, that's a big one."
And that one didn't even make it the cut for our best 5 in the day.
It was like 5 1/4 or something like that.
Yeah, it was a damn good day.
Yep.
Jim B, still using the orange chatterbait with orange trailer. Fire craw, which is a little more red than orange, but yes, I either throw that or black with blue flake. That's it. Like when I'm talking cold water, those are the only 2 colors I throw. Rarely will I throw a green pumpkin. Those 2 colors, I just, that's what I get bit on. And if I know I'm going to get bit on that, I will throw both of those. And one of those is going to work. The one exception I started doing a lot more of last year, and I will start doing even more of this year, is a naked jackhammer head with just a Beast Coast Miyagi swim bait on the back. It's, a big presentation. It'd be funny if I actually had one rigged up, but I know I don't. Can you take one off without ripping the whole thing? Ooh, you almost pulled the whole post down.
Oh no! Oh yeah, look, it's hanging.
But yeah, like it is phenomenal. I did see another one. Any thoughts on hover strolling? I haven't done it yet, but it's on my radar. So Joseph, underspin.
Naked chatterbait with one of these in the back. Was that 4 3/4 inch or something like that?
Yeah, pretty close. It's like 4.65 inches. So that's
4.75.
stupid good. If like the perch, you get to a point where you're getting really close to the perch spawn, and they're stacked up there and you keep getting nipped by them, like you 110%, you should be throwing that. And you're going to, like, it's crazy how many bass you will catch on that. Even like 1.5 pounders. It's a big presentation. You can throw it with a skirt, and I've had plenty of success even doing that. But there's something about my confidence with just a, skirtless jackhammer, which means, yes, you do have to cut the skirt off of a jackhammer with just a Miyagi on the back. It works. It works really, really well. It's a slightly different presentation. And just something about it drives them nuts.
Mm-hmm. Not saying we don't work that same exact bait with the skirt on it either. I mean, we did that up on Champlain this last year, but that was definitely not in the spring.
Yep. Evan, what trailers do you like on chatterbaits? Beast Coast Miyagi. Beyond that, the Beast Coast Blade Runner, their new trailer from last year, is really, really good. The Flippin' Delight from Beast Coast Fishing on Sideways, also really good. But before any of those, we're throwing.
Come on. 4.8 inch Kitech.
Yeah, that was one of them. I was going to say Striking Rage Craw.
Oh, yeah.
Striking Rage Craw Sideways. I don't know, man. I've got a lot of fish doing that. Even in really, really cold water. It is phenomenal. Third biggest fish I ever caught, 6-pound, 2-ounce largemouth. 3 weeks after ice out?
It was pretty close. Still pretty cold. I remember when you caught it.
I think that was still in March. I had the video. It was either the very end of March or the very beginning of April. It's up on the channel. If you go back and look, like it's there. Yep. It was just a straight black with blue flake jackhammer with a black with blue flake Striking Rage Craw on it sideways. Awesome. Oh, hey, Jerry and Carl. What color? Oh, here we go. Carl, that's a good question. What color Miyagi do you like on a chatter and as a straight swim bait? Dude, the Dirty Perch is really hard to beat.
Which one was I throwing last? That color is just so good.
Can you find it? Same with the Dope Gill is my other go-to. Prey Bass. I don't know if he still has that, but I really like that color. That's a really, really good color. That's the one, Prey Bass. Okay. And then what's that other one right beside it? It's got the translucent belly. For life, I can't remember the name of that color. Pro Ghost Alewife is another really good color. That's pretty much all my go-tos right there. I have their Rainbow Trout one. I still haven't been bid on it, oddly enough. I don't understand. Doing something wrong. That should work really, really well for the color and the size in a lot of places around just New England in general, but especially New Hampshire with the amount of places that get stocked with trout. Like, I don't know.
Be fishing it deep enough.
That could very well be. I'm going to make that work this spring. So there you go. That answers that. Grubs on Mark knows what's up. Grubs on chatterbait. Single-tail grubs. That was one of the things we talked about on that stream where we were talking about baits that have fallen by the wayside that still kill it. Grubs. Mm-hmm. Still kill it. Make a phenomenal trailer on so many things. So.
I don't know, Shearer.
Well, now we're talking.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, no, you 110% should, dude. Fishing that the way we do with like Spark Shad on there. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, we get some Mr. Twisters.
Okay,
there's a brand we haven't heard in a while.
Mr. Twister.
Mr. Twister's Grubs. They just stocked trout on the Cape. Damn. Anyway, ooh, David, I like a standard fluke on a chatter. I like that. Okay. Well, let's expand on jigs. We talk a lot about jigs, so let's make this really quick because I'm just trying to do this for anybody that hasn't heard us talk about jigs at some point. But for, spring bass fishing 1-1, you're talking jigs, we actually run a variety.
Like pretty much every single one that they make. Pretty much. Like any style, really. I mean, honestly, we should probably should have thrown some jigs through that grass this weekend.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did. I threw 2 different ones.
Okay.
I take that back. I threw 3 different ones. I had a traditional 3/8 ounce football head. And it's like any other jig you find out there in the sense of the skirt strand count and the length of the cut on the skirt. And I threw it with an untrimmed striking Rage Craw trailer. Nothing. I threw the new Beast Coast Baby Dozer, which is a 5/8 football head. It's a slightly more finesse skirt, but still fairly bulky presentation, and I threw that with a Berkeley Chigger Craw for my trailer. Nada. I threw a spider jig, which is just a twin-tailed hula grub on a 3/8 ounce football. Nothing. Earlier in the day, I threw a Beast Coast open water sniper, and all these were different colors, mind you. In the open water sniper, I threw Stealth Craw with, I'm trying to think that one I had a 3.3 inch Kitech. Nothing. So you can throw anything. Especially now, this time of the year, I typically am finding more success with a more finesse cut jig, but it's just a traditional 3/8 or even 1/2 ounce football jig with a 3 1/4, it's like 3 to 3.5 inch trailer in the back. I will downsize that trailer length overall a little bit. Something about that has been much more consistent.
Once it hits like mid 50s, like low to mid 50s, I'll be throwing like a full-size trailer, full-size jig, not cutting down the skirt, just getting a big, beefy presentation. Because when it hits that temperature, those fish are just straight up chewing, and they want a meal. So that's why you shouldn't really be afraid of throwing bigger baits in the spring, because they're going to get bit.
Yep, and which is funny. So Mark, Northeast Bass Fishing, asked, did you throw a jig with a pork trailer? No, because I don't have any pork trailers right now.
No, but I did throw a jig.
You did with the Berkeley
accent.
Max. It wasn't the Chigger Craw though. It was the other one. I can't remember. It looks like a Zoom Super Chunk.
Yeah, it's just a craw trailer with literally no action, and it smells to high hell.
It smells really to high hell. But that was Max scent, and it's almost it stinks, and I really like it. And that has worked really, really well for us in very cold water conditions. But no, we didn't throw any with the pork trailer. But that, dude, Mark hit it right on the head. Jig with a pork trailer, the old Jig and Pig. Phenomenal cold water killer. Oh, one of the other baits I didn't talk, I think I did mention hair jig, but it's kind of along the same line. Like hair jig with like a Max scent trailer on the back of that, and you can really play around with what you're doing. That's also phenomenal. But yeah, I think that covers it for jigs. For jerk baits, like a 4 to 6 foot diving model for your typical kettle ponds in New Hampshire, all over New England, 20 feet or less. It's pretty good. If you can, I would also throw in a 90 size. Instead of the Vision 110s, your kind of standard jerk bait size you get, I would also throw a 90. I have been told that for a very, very long time. Cold water, smaller jerk baits.
Well, that's like when I used to go out, there's this tiny little pond around us, and I had my John boat, and I would just go out there all the time. And as soon as ice out hit, there'd still be half the pond would still be ice, and I'd go out there in my John boat, and I'd just throw the little Berkeley Cutter 90s. I was throwing the bigger jerk baits. I wasn't getting bit on them, so I was like, all right, well, I'll downsize, see what happens. I couldn't stop getting bit. It took a while to get bit, but I would get bit on every single cast.
Yep.
And that place is loaded with fish, and it's a tiny pond, but still, like, I was not getting bit on the X-Rap. I wasn't getting bit on a 110. I was getting bit on the tiny little 90 point. What the hell was that?
The Lucky Craft.
Not the Lucky Craft.
Sorry.
The Berkeley Cutter 90s.
Yes.
That was
sorry.
what I was using. because they don't dive super deep.
No.
They only get down to like maybe 4 or 5 feet, and they're just a small enough profile where they look at it and like, oh yeah, I can eat that. I'm gonna go eat it right now.
Yep.
And
Well, and especially like early in the spring, you have like a lot of the shiners are kind of more active. So getting to that smaller profile tends to pay off more often than not. Oops, wrong one. On that note about, David, so you bring up this. Most of the crawls are hibernating until 50 degree plus. That goes in tandem with your other comment where you said spring equals horizontal moving lures. I tell you what, you're absolutely right about the craws hibernating, right? They're not really that active. But there is other aquatic life that is active in these colder water temps, like hellgrammines. And the bait fish are moving after that. But more importantly, the bass, I feel like, don't know when the crawfish are supposed to be out, but they sure as shit know what it looks like and that it is a delicious meal for them. So they'll eat it. And it's just one of those, like, this the easiest way I've been able to break down like how to figure out the pattern for a day is to first establish, are they looking up or are they looking down? If they're looking up, I need something, like you said, horizontal presentation, suspending jerkbait, for example, this time of the year. That's why it's so good. More often than not, they're kind of looking up or they're looking straight ahead. But there are days where they will not touch it and they're going to be looking down. And even though a crawfish may not actually be out and about and active right now in 40-ish degree water, dude, I mean, we literally get bit on jigs for how many years now in a row?
every single one of them.
On lakes with ice, like not just ice out, on lakes with ice. And it's just, they can't help it. Plus, if you throw a swim bait trailer on the back, then it kind of looks like a dying bait fish or a feeding bait fish. So there's a number of different ways you can do with that. 603 Living. Tips for spring bank fishing. I cannot help. Bank fishing in New England is hard, and I haven't done it in a long time, so I just don't know where to go. I will say...
I did a lot of bank fishing, and I got to the point where it was like, all right, well, I'm just going to wait until I start seeing beds, and then I'll go fish the bank.
Yeah.
If you can find a spot where there's like a kind of decent sized flat that you can actually get a good cast on and cast it really, really far out. What the hell?
Thank you very much for the donation,
Thanks,
Dan.
Dan.
Appreciate you, buddy.
I just lost my train of thought.
Yep, sorry.
From the bank, that's what it was. If you can find a spot from the bank that has like a decent sized flat, like 5 to 6 feet deep, that's adjacent to deep water, just bomb, jerk bait, any bait they're using, just get it out there as far as you possibly can and just work it slow.
Yep. I would, if you can, I would cast 60 degrees. Well, I guess 30 degrees off the bank. Not to a full 45, but 30 as far as you can get it out. Because ideally, you're going to be trying to target not up against the bank and all the way at the bottom out towards that flat, but kind of that transition. I would start at that angle first. It's your highest probability of success. And at about that 30-degree angle, you will be able to keep your bait more in that optimal strike zone than if you were to cast straight out, say, or even at a 45-degree angle. Then you're kind of coming through that target area a lot faster than you mean to, and you don't want to be up super shallow unless the conditions dictate that. But in this colder water, I feel like a 32, 45-degree angle from the bank is probably going to be your best bet. And like you said, just bomb it way the hell out.
Say this is the bank, and it drops off right about here. You're casting out to about here. You're only working that area for about not long at all. I mean, you're coming straight in. You go out to an angle, you're going to be working across that for a lot longer, and you stay in the strike zone for a lot longer.
Yep, spot on. All right, tell you what. If you guys have any more like color questions, this is a good time to ask it in relation to any baits. But then I do want to we're going to touch on gear for like 2 minutes, and then I want to get to spots because I really want to dedicate a lot of time for that. And it's already, at this point, 8:45. But I am seeing, let's see, Mike, Adam, Mark again, and Dave all talking about the Lucky Craft SP80, Megabass Trick Darter, Lucky Craft Stacy 90. That was another one I know.
I was actually looking at those last night.
Yep, Duo Realist, Rosante. I don't know, something like that. I tell you what, I really, really, really like all of the suggestions. And I know of the Lucky Craft Stacy's and the SP80s. I have a Stacy 90, actually.
They all work. they wouldn't be in business if they didn't. So
True.
you just pick the ones that you like, the ones that you're comfortable with, the ones that you can work the way you want to work them, and just stick with them.
Yep. T-Money, what about colors for jerk baits? Oh boy, how much time do we have? All right, if you had to break it down to just 3 colors to recommend.
3 colors. I would get some like that Pro Blue, the GP Pro Blue.
Yep.
I would do something very natural. And then
Such
as like the one I was using this past weekend, the Lucky Craft.
Ghost Minnow, basically?
Ghost Minnow.
Okay.
And something gold.
Okay, I will agree on the blue and the Ghost Minnow, perch. That's my third. Because perch are very active in the spring. They spawn in the spring. The bass love to be in and around them and eat the crap out of them. So I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice to not have a perch. However,
I never fish perch.
gold, I know, because I do. Gold is another phenomenal option to have too. So you could trade out. I mean, literally, I could say the same thing as him, but instead of the Ghost Minnow, I would swap that for a perch. But I mean, really, those are 4 really hard to beat color schemes this time of the year.
Yeah. Really.
And
really all year. I mean,
I start with the perch. If I'm in really dark, dirty, stained water, I will go to the Megabass GP Pro Blue 2 is one of my favorite dark water color schemes. If it's even like remotely clear, then I'm going to start with the perch, and I'm going to make adjustments from there based on what we're seeing for conditions. No Fire Tiger for me. I don't know what it is about that color, but I have zero confidence in it.
is that those red tiger jerkbaits, whatever they?
It's like kind of perchy green, but it's more like fluorescent green. And I think it's like either a red or orange belly, but it's like it's vibrant, and it's just got like a couple of very consistent vertical black stripes in it. Yeah. I'm not a fan of anything Fire Tiger. Something about it that kills me. Adam Wood. I think it's Eleggy Bone for large and sustained water. Yeah, that one. I mean,
that works. Yes.
Now, okay, expanding beyond our top 3, that is 110% in the mix. Mm-hmm. Like you said, gold, something like gold, black, orange, like all those colors kind of into one thing.
We get in the summer, we can even go clear.
Yep. And if I'm going for more smallmouth, clear water lakes, places with smelt, I'm going to try and find something much more smelty colored. Actually, that Lucky Craft you were throwing, I specifically bought because it looks very similar to a smelt that you would find in New Hampshire.
It does.
Even though I think it is called Ghost Minnow, it does look very smelty. Jackal, the Squad Minnow, another phenomenal jerkbait brand. Forgot to bring that up earlier. They have another one that looks pretty smelty, but for the life of me, I can't remember the color of it. Rainbow trout patterns, like, dude, you can throw whatever you want. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're really hard to beat. Blue, a perch, a Ghost Minnow, black and gold.
Or even a silver. Something with a lot of shine.
Yeah, there's been a few days you've schooled me with that.
This past weekend, I started off with... No, wait, I didn't. What did I start off with? I started off with gold. I think I got bit on it once.
You did.
And then, because my blue one I broke and it was filling up with water, and then I ended up switching over to the more natural color, that Ghost Minnow. And it was even still kind of dirty water, and it was dark, and they were still smashing it.
Yeah, it's like the water there, maybe a foot of visibility. It's dirty. It's dirty.
It looks like the turnover. It really did.
Yeah,
without the shit floating in it.
Pretty much, and that's how it's always looked every time we've been there. I think we've been there 6 times now. Mm-hmm. But something about that Ghost Minnow, it's like mostly translucent, but it's just got a little kind of that ghosty black back and kind of a little purplish sheen on the sides. Mm-hmm. He was killing it with it. So I don't know. There's that.
Just experiment.
Yep. Okay, so gear really quick. My God, I see. Like, you would have to tell me exactly what you want to fish, and I can make a recommendation. I can't just make anything broad for spring fishing. You know what? There's one thing I'll talk about, and Brian Latimer is a guy I used to respect and enjoy a lot, but I can't help but feel like he speaks more for the reaction than he does for the education now. That I feel is a very accurate, safe, and constructive way of putting that. And he was talking about one of our subscribers sent me a video yesterday, and he was talking about fishing line. And he kind of talked down about throwing braid for jackhammers, bladed jigs.
Why wouldn't you, though?
He, in his words, said it was dumb and stupid. And he's not calling anybody that does it dumb and stupid, but he just feels that it is dumb and stupid. And in my opinion, he is dumb and stupid for saying such a thing. There is a time and a place and a condition and an application for absolutely everything. There, at some point, no matter how outlandish you can think of it, it's going to work at some condition. And the thing about braid for a jackhammer, it is like exceptionally good when you talk about really cold water, stained water, just especially largemouth. The reason why I think it's so good. Now, is it the best option? No, by all means, God no. You could still go with fluorocarbon, you go monofilament, whatever. But the reason why I think braid is a really good choice to make early in the spring is when those largemouth push up really shallow up front. Or sorry, up shallow on the flats really early in the season. Now you're talking like 3 feet of water or less.
Yeah, you want to get that thing moving.
Immediately.
Vibrating as fast as you possibly can. And without any stretch at all in that line, it's going to get it going quick.
Yep. And we've talked about this before. The jackhammer gets started and stays vibrating very, very quickly and easily. If you do that with braid, it becomes 10 times easier. And having that zero stretch to the braid, you having that immediate and constant feedback, you can slow roll it, like deathly slow, and still feel that vibration with braid that you can't get with fluorocarbon. And that is the benefit. And then when I get it hung up a little bit in vegetation, I'm in 2 feet of water, I just need to pop my wrist, and that thing's just going to bloop, and it's going to come right out. Versus if I'm on, say, like 20-pound fluorocarbon or even 17-pound, if I get hung up a little bit, I got to, like, kind of really pop it. It might, instead of going bloop, it might go phew, and it's going too far. And I feel that while that could be a benefit, it also could be a detriment because I'm trying to work it very, very slow. So that's the added benefit of throwing a bladed jig on braid this early in the season. You can work it deathly slow. You get it going immediately, setting into that vibrating action. And it takes minimal effort to be able to pop it free of the vegetation, which that in and of itself is what will trigger bites. And you pause it and you get it started going right away, so it just kind of comes right back up. There's a time and a place for everything. Just be constructive about it. I feel like Belat's explanation there was, I wasn't a fan just because it wasn't open-minded and constructive. But again, I think he speaks more for the clicks than he does for the education now, the reaction.
It happens.
Scarman will tell you no braid on chatterbaits. But see, I'm curious. Jason listens to Scott Martin. Scott knows his shit.
He sure does.
Braid on a jackhammer works great in junk, but your rod has to be very moderate, or you lose fish quite a bit. I disagree.
I disagree too, because I throw mine on a heavy rod.
I have thrown straight braid, 20-pound braid, on a 7.2 heavy fast rod, and I have not lost a single fish. Because it comes down to how you set the hook, how you have your drag set. You just need to balance everything, man.
You need a little bit of pull on that drag when you set the hook, not just lock down.
That's
you
a
can
thing.
lock it down after if you want, but I wouldn't.
Right.
I want that drag to do its job if I need it to.
Latimer's learning from Block It. Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I have. But anyway, coming back to this, Carl, braid on jackhammer works great in junk, but your rod has to be very moderate or you lose quite a bit of fish. Again, I disagree. It's all in how you adjust to the equipment that you have for what you're trying to get the most out of it. I would love to be able to have a rod that is ideal for the weight jackhammer I'm throwing and the braid that I'm throwing and the conditions that I'm throwing it, but I don't. I have a total of 14 rods. It's still a good collection. By all means, is not bad. And I have a wide variety of rods, but not a super wide variety. Like I don't have something that's like a medium heavy with a moderate, which would be nice for that specific application. But I don't feel it's necessary. You just need to adjust how you are presenting it, how you are setting the hook, how you are fighting that fish, and you will do just fine. I feel like we need to be more open-minded as anglers and how we are helping people, that you don't always need the most ideal setup to make something work. You just need to adjust your perspective and how you are conducting your actions to make something work. You can adjust, just like anything else you do in fishing.
I mean, I used to throw jigs on a 6.6 medium. the hell was I doing?
It's not ideal, but dude, you made it work
Yeah.
because you knew what to do. You knew how to work around that.
I caught my PB that way.
You adjusted. You know, and again, is a 7.2 heavy fast my ideal rod choice when I'm throwing? No, but depending upon how I have everything else configured for my rods and reels, in that instance, I happen to have a 7.2 heavy fast rod with braid on it, and the conditions just seem right for throwing a 3/8 ounce jackhammer up there, and I know that I can cast that without issue on that particular setup because of the reel it's on there. And I just know that if I get bit, I just gotta kind of lean into it. It's like it's like a 3-inch snap of the wrist that's like fast and violent, and then you just kind of keep leaning with it. I don't lose fish because I've worked my. I don't know, man. Like I've.
You got to feel for
I
it.
don't
You've been
know.
doing it long enough. You got to feel for it, and you know how to work what you're using with what you're doing.
Yep.
So
Too many, Jerry. It's because you're a freaking gorilla with your hook sets, bud. I lost too many fish on braid.
yeah, any bite down there could be like a 15-pounder, and you swing away at a 2-pounder, it's gonna rip its face off. I lost it. Oh, no, you still got his lips.
Only 14, and then Mike. 14 rods. You need more. So I mean, that was the plan for this year. But for a quick side note, we actually lost our sponsorship with both Lose and Striking, in the sense that I won't spare you the details other than for how we got the sponsorship. It's like it's a program. I was found by somebody that was sponsored by Lose. Lose did this thing with YouTubers. They're like, this is great. We love it. We don't have time for it. We can't renew it after 1 year. And this guy saw it as an opportunity to make that connection happen and be the middleman between Rather Outdoors, the owner of Lose, and the YouTube community. But he had a certain number of people to work with at a budget, and he went and hand-selected people based on a certain amount of criteria. We met that, and that's how I got on with Lose to begin with, and they were happy to continue to support us even after I brought Andrew onto the brand, to the channel and everything that we do. And it was great, but there has been, I wouldn't necessarily call it a shakeup. There's just been kind of a change of direction within Lose, which I still don't know the full facts of the situation other than they're really changing where they're pushing dollars around. So unfortunately, the whole program that myself and I believe 19 other YouTubers were a part of that we had this sponsorship through was dropped. And they also dropped sponsorships for, I believe, other pros, other pro staffs, like other programs they have. So
It's not
unfortunately,
just us, it was just a whole thing.
yeah, which made me feel good. And, I had a chance to speak with a gentleman that is a sales rep for Lose and Strike King. And apparently our name has come up within Lose, or rather Outdoors, within the organization, and they love us. They've said nothing but good things, which made me feel really, really good about what we do. So, it is what it is, man. Those dollars come and go. They get moved around from here to there. And unfortunately, the program that we're in is no longer being renewed. So it is what it is. We're going to sit tight on looking for a rod sponsorship this year. There was one opportunity I was debating going down that road on, but I'm just...
Actually, I'll talk to you after about it.
Okay. I've been beyond happy with Lose.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude,
I'm not sponsored by
I'll
them,
still
but
buy
still-
the rods. They're freaking phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, Jerry, I'm not losing any sleep. I mean, it's
Yep.
a legit sponsorship. Everything that we signed for is a legit sponsorship. I don't do pro staff deals because I can afford not to.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I don't do anything for a cheap
I'm not
discount.
going to promote somebody that's just going to be like, well, here's 10% off.
Well, not for nothing, but we do more than the vast majority of people out there. That's not the pro level. Let me get that clear.
Right.
So I know my value, and I'm not going to just sign up for just a discount. Like, there's got to be cash involved, essentially, for lack of a better way to put it. And if that's not involved, then that conversation is not going to happen. So I'm not losing any sleep over it. It's just unfortunate that it happened because I was really happy with them. They treated us really, really well. They helped support the channel. Like, they reposted our stuff from time to time. They're still very, very heavy-handed in the professional side of things for like 95% of what they do. But they gave us the love, so it was good. It is what it is. Anyway. Let me hide that. Okay, so that was everything. Let's talk about fishing spots now.
Fishing spots.
How we get to have fun. You know what I'm going to do?
I'm actually going
Yeah, Jerry, that was the thing. Go ahead. That's why I'm like, I saw it. I knew it was going to happen eventually. I was hopeful that maybe because we're on the lower end of the budget of things that maybe it would slide through and we'd still be able to make it happen. But it is what it is. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, that's for damn sure. And I'll hang tight and I'll see what next year brings us. And if opportunity arises that we can get back with Lose, I would be more than happy to do it. And that would be my preference. But if they continue to kind of go in the direction they've chosen for this year, so be it. I will explore other options by all means. Yeah, Carl, I tell you what. Shimano wouldn't be my first choice, but it would be my second choice. Daiwa was my first choice. If I was going to move away from Lose and try and pursue something else, Daiwa is my number one. Because I was trying to replace everything I owned with either Shimano or Daiwa, and it's kind of like 1A, 1B. I like Daiwa's style a little bit better than Shimano, and you can't beat the quality across either one, period. They are the leaders in that, in my opinion. St. Croix, I did love for their rods, but it's been a while. What did you just do?
I pointed at my fish.
Oh. All right, let's talk spots. Let me get away from your little special spot there. This was the random spot I picked up. So we're talking spring fishing. There we
go.
Amanda Culture. Fishing spots. Anywhere now with no ice. All right, I tell you what. You know what I can do? I can do you one better. Let's pull this up before I start sharing the screen. You all want to write this down.
What was that BBC Lounge?
Not what you think. This is Bass Boat Central, you pervert.
I know. What are you looking up?
Yes, sir. It's not mesh. This is just a black camo.
Full duber.
It's nice. Okay, so take notes. When we're talking about spring, there's a tool that I've shared many a time. I'm going to share it with you all now. I'm going to put it in the chat. You guys, I'm going to pin it. Control, copy. Come on. Where's that chat? Control, paste. And I'm going to pin it. Now, I will say this is 10 times easier to do this on your computer than it is on your phone when using this website. This is the first thing we're going to do when we go through this. I'm going to go with it with you together. So let me bring this back to reset. And I'm going to go previous day, one more day, to March 6th. If anybody's doing this with me at the same time, following along, you open that up. You got today's date, and you got previous day, next day, so on and so forth. Let me start sharing this screen. Present, share screen. That one. Share.
Boom. Hello.
Can I? There we go. That's even better. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Let me brand. Hide that. There we are.
Oh,
okay.
man. It's popping up over.
All right. This is the website that is pinned in the chat. This is how I try and find open water every single spring. From Cape Cod all the way up into the friggin' north reaches of New Hampshire and Vermont. Modest today. So I went back to March 6th because if you go to our region, no clouds. This is important, obviously, because if there's clouds, you can't see anything. But you can see where the snow line was from the storm, which is pretty cool. All right. So we went to March 6th because that was the last sunny day that we had. I selected our region, which happens to be New England. Although if you're watching from elsewhere, by all means, you probably actually don't even need this anyway. But now we're going to do two things. We're going to go false color, and there's a reason for that. Watch what the snow does. Snow and ice become electric blue. Open water becomes black. Very, very, very easy to see the difference between these two. I will say one thing. If there's ice with a little bit of water on top, it's going to look like open water. So you have to be mindful of that. But right now, this time of the year, it's pretty much just pure ice. All right. Now we're going to 250 for our range. Now we are zoomed way the hell in, right? So now you got to kind of find yourself. There's the St. Lawrence. There's Lake Champlain.
There's the Quabbin.
Quabbin right here.
By the way, Quabbin is ice-free. Check that out.
This is why you want to do this on your computer. I don't know if it's just a Google Chrome for your browser, if it's a trick for that, or if it works for anything. You're going to hold Control on your keyboard and then scroll forward on your mouse. You can't see it, but I have zoomed in my web page to 500%. Now look at the level of detail I have. Quabbin is huge, right? So if I'm looking for a very specific body of water to see where the open water is, this is what I'm going to do. However, if you just want to back it up a little bit just to kind of get a general broad idea as to where you're looking for open water, you can see the snow line. I'm not sure. This is like, is that Gloucester area? I know that this area in particular is like Boston Harbor and all that. I forget. I'm not really well versed with coastal Massachusetts.
South of there, I think, but I don't know.
But you can see there's like that all that electric blue, that's snow and ice. Look at how much open water there is. All those black circles and spots, that's all open water. You come up into New Hampshire, you've got Massabesic. Let me go in a little bit closer. Wow, misclick, my bad. Right there. Okay, Massabesic is right here. That is pure ice. You come over to the seacoast, starting to see some black here. Starting to get some even open water over closer to the coast. You come down into Mass, even the northern Mass area, we're starting to see some open water. So that's step number 1. You want to look at where you're going, trying to figure out where you can go this early in the season. This is your best friend. Oops, I forgot comments. I can see my house. Okay, so that's that one. Next up, we're going to Navionics. So now I need to share, present, share screen. Navionics.
If you don't have this, you should get it.
So, yes.
But there is a free, you can go
This is free.
Yeah.
The Navionics web app.
Yeah.
If you just search that, I think what you get, if you go down here to this icon, you got Navionics and Sonar Chart. Sonar Chart, I believe you have to have purchased this beforehand, but I could be wrong.
I think that's what it is.
Otherwise, you get this version. And please correct me if I'm wrong on this. But I believe if you don't pay for it, you're not signed in, you only get just the general Navionics. Some ponds look like this, where, you know, you lose kind of that better definition, right, of all your contour depths. But then other ponds will have essentially the Sonar Chart version, where it actually has a lot of really good detail and really gives you a better, more accurate lay of the land. So there's that to keep in mind. Okay, we picked a complete random. The hell is this? Long Pond? Is that what we figured out?
That's what it was.
Long Pond.
Yep.
West Rutland, Mass. I have no idea. I've never been here. I haven't even been in this area of Mass before. So apologies, this is somebody's honey hole. Not in our intent. If it is, just shut up. And that, not like, shut up, like, don't yell at me, in the sense of just don't tell anybody we talked about it, and then nobody will know.
Right.
It's what people don't understand about honey holes. Those guys were fishing my spots, one of the greatest spots in the world. They're blowing it up.
No, we were just.
What was the name of that spot again? Because you're the only person that told me what that was. Anyway, okay, let's. You know what, buddy? I'm gonna hand it off to you. So we're talking spring fishing. I'm gonna let you get started because you know this just as well as I do,
Spring fishing,
and I can use a bathroom break.
Jerk baits and other moving baits.
So ice out about 40ish degrees water, like upper 30s to 40 to 45 degrees.
Let me look at this real quick.
You start with that. I will be back in a moment.
I just want to look real quick. Is there any inlets? A lot of the time when we're looking for water, we're looking for inlets. This looks like it could be an inlet or it could be an outlet, but this looks way too shallow. See right here, there's only 1 inch. So all this same color, this is all going to, 1 inch, 1 foot. This is all going to be super stupid shallow. And where it starts to drop off, it drops down to 17 feet. Actually, it drops way down to almost 20 feet in here. Where I would want to start is in this 6 to 8 foot range, all up in here. This actually gets a little deeper right in the middle here. This whole area, those fish in the winter are going to be down in these deep holes. Well, actually, that's probably not really good because we need to find steep bank. All right. So you got 20 feet here, and right in here, this is very shallow, 2 feet, 4 feet, and this is going to be in that, most likely, that 7 to 10 feet area. This right here is going to be good because they're going to come up from deep water and hang out in here right before they come up to spawn in wherever the hell they're going to spawn. Actually, is this an inlet here? Oh, that's part of it. That's an island. Okay, cool. Where I would start in this area here, because you got deep water, you got a bank coming up, and it flattens off where those fish can come up from deep water and kind of chill out and hang out and feed. This area in here is where I would most likely start throwing jerk baits. Sorry, I have never looked at this pond before, so I have no idea what the hell I'm looking at, even if this is a good spot or not. But from experience, this should be a good spot to start. up in here. Because you got deep water here, super shallow. You got the bank here, and you got this flat where it comes down a steep bank and it flattens off. Those fish should be sitting up in this area in here. Jerkbaits, chatterbaits, crankbaits, lipless crankbaits. I'm doing it all by myself. See, I'm talking to the camera, but talking to you at the same time. You should be here. That seems like actually a pretty decent spot right there. Yeah, deep water here, shallow water, and you got this bank, this flat here. I'll go up in here. That's super shallow. That's stupid shallow. I mean, once you start getting into those like 50 to 55 degree spots, you can move all the way up into this stupid shallow 4 foot. This is 3 feet up into a foot. You can start working this entire area with chatterbaits, jerkbaits, and all those same baits. I'm trying to find even in here too. Like this is deep, relatively deep for this lake. That's what, 16 or is that 18 feet?
18.
Is that 18?
Yep.
And it comes up to this spot here where it's probably 10 feet deep here. They'll move up from that deep water up onto this small little flat here before they push up, and they could even spawn up in here. It could be a good pre-spawn spot there. What else you got?
So I will say, have you talked about like the northern end versus the southern end? We were talking about this early in the spring.
I have not.
Northern end tends to be your friend more often than not. Wind plays a huge role in positioning and the whole 9 yards too. But the northern end typically, more often than not, will be better to you than the southern end because, well, especially depending upon elevation changes on either side, north end or south end. But typically that north end is going to get more sun earlier because we are in the northern hemisphere, so the sun is towards our southern horizon or to the south. So that north end tends to warm up a little bit faster and certainly ices out faster too. But then, depths and everything plays into it. General rule of thumb, north end is where we will start.
If I was to come out here, like legitimately, if I was to come out here and launch right here, I would probably spend most of my time in this area here on this big flat, probably closer to where it starts to drop off.
Bingo.
Because most of the time you're going to have this big flat, I'm guessing, has a bunch of vegetation on it. If it does, awesome. And then it would go out to where it would start to die off, probably in the... that's only 9 feet deep. Let's say this dropped off to like 12 to 15 feet right here.
From like 8 down to 12 to 15?
From like that 8 foot marks, and this was all 6 to 8 feet up in here. If this dropped down to like 12 to 15 feet right in here, and there was long grass all in here, and then it just died. As soon as it starts to drop off, I would work that edge right there and up on top of it, this whole area here. That transition area would be really good for those fish to move up, hang out in that grass, and just ambush anything that's moving from deep to shallow.
Can I see it for 1 second? I'm just
I'm
kidding.
sure
I
you got
saw
plenty
something
to
in the
add.
chat, and they're talking about BBC. Who's Boat Potato? Make sure you check the current around all the tubes from Swamp Island down, and don't forget about pilings around Chipmans. Oh, okay, I understand what's going on. Crappie Kev, yes, we do use Google Earth Pro as well. That's really good if you're looking at a pond, like overall in general, because you can scroll back in time to like different years that they took satellite imagery of that area, and I'm pretty sure any pond you can think of, like just this area, this region in general, you can find a satellite image, obviously of varying quality depending on what year they did it, but of like spring, summer, and fall. So you can see the progression of vegetation too, if like that's something you're really kind of keying in on, which is cool. Very, very helpful. But for like generally speaking, for this time of the year when really no vegetation is developed, I'd pretty much just stick with looking at things like this, depth charts. So I already know everything you said, and I wholeheartedly agree with it. I was listening on the other side of the door while I was talking to the wife for a minute there.
Okay.
I will say, so to expand on what he said, weather leading up to the day you choose to fish will play a huge, if not the most significant role in where you should be looking. If you have a warming trend, everywhere up here he talked about, that's the first area I'm going to look at, 100%. If you had relatively stable but still kind of cooler temperatures, so lacking in that warming trend, water temps are still like 40, low 40s or whatever, I might if it's like that first day where it's kind of nice, I might look over here. And the reason for that is because
That quick transition area.
bingo, thank you. So that's a key area I would look. This is kind of another one. Like it's kind of weird though, because there's no like real consistency in the overall size of this flat. It's just kind of like a consistent change in depth the whole way up.
Yeah.
But then if you come back down, there was another spot you had talked about, like this.
That's
Might be an area I would look in. Absolutely. If you, well, and we're kind of limited by this lake choice,
I don't know how
but
big this place is either. So.
Oh, you know what? Bam, right here. So if you have a couple of warming days, this shallower flat up here, especially if there doesn't always have to be, but if you can find sporadic vegetation, I mean, of any kind and any intensity, for lack of a better way to put it, for how much there is there. If there's stuff up in here on this flat, then yeah, 100% I'm going to focus there. Then you kind of have this transition area, but it is a little bit of a stretch. But then you get
flat down there,
just slightly deeper. So like right now, thinking back to where we fished on Sunday, like this could have been a really good spot because it's in that in-between phase. Like it's a nice big flat. It's adjacent to some of the deeper water relative to this particular body of water, but it's a nice sizable area of consistent depth. And that might just be the right depth that they want to be hanging out in. But if they're kind of hanging around right around here, like look at how much area they have here. This would be 14 feet is this contour line. This is your 13-foot contour line. Maybe 12. No, sorry, 12, because the next 10, yeah, about 12-ish feet here, right? But in a very short distance,
I mean,
bam.
Actually perfect for this time of year right now is this area up in here. I wasn't even really paying attention to the depths really when I was saying. But yeah.
Well, again, it depends on what you have for weather leading up to the day you choose to go fishing.
Correct.
So there's nothing wrong with what you said at all.
No,
it was
no,
accurate.
I wasn't really paying attention to the depths right there. I was just trying to make it up so it'd just be easier. If it was way deeper, that'd be like, yeah, that's the spot to be in.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, again, depending upon weather, water temps and stuff, like warming trend, it's on the uprise. It's gone up a couple degrees. I'm coming up here. If it's fairly consistent, weather, water temp, like nothing's really changed. It's still kind of colder, lower 40s. I'm probably going to start looking in here, and I might actually focus in this area first, because if you like have a couple of days where it's warming, but you know, it only went up 5 degrees. But it's enough, you know, maybe the wind has died down. We have a lot of sunny days. So with the UV starting to get stronger this time of the year, it's going to have some form of an impact. Then I might focus in on here, because then they can move up the bank a little bit too if they want. Short distance here. Big, consistent area of depth, adjacent to deep water. They can move up really shallow. Like they have all three things here in this one short stretch.
Yeah, that's like going from like high 30s to like low 40s. They'd be moving up into that. Or actually, no, not even. I'd say like mid 30s to high 30s, moving up onto that first step there.
Yep, or just right around this transition area, yeah.
And then from like 40 to 42-ish, they may move up into there. And then from like the 42 to like 45 to 50 and up, they'll just keep moving up and up and up
all
and up.
the way up. Yep. Although it's funny, right? Because if you get like one of those crazy good early spring warm fronts like we actually just had a couple weeks ago, right? I mean, it's still winter, but if you had open water and it had been open for a while, but your water was still like upper 30s, in like that 3-day stretch, it could have, body water the size could have jumped up 3 or 4 degrees in the span of 3 days. They could have moved from like, say, this area all the hell the way up here in one shot.
Like, oh, it's warming up. We're moving up shallow. Those bait fish are all moving up, so we're going to follow them.
Yep. So that it's just really, really important to pay attention to if you can. Like if you don't have your boat out right now and you're getting ready to go out here in the next few weeks and you know where you want to go, you should be looking at it right now to see if it's even open. And then that will paint a much better and clearer picture of the potential for movement for where these fish could go when the weather starts playing right or wrong. So you know which kind of way to look. So that's one really good example. You know what we should do? We should try and find a deeper body of water. Doesn't have to be huge.
I don't know. Good.
This problem is like I don't.
Self.
Yeah, like I know there's a bunch of deep places out here. Let's see. You know what? I can think of a place that's really popular that we've never been to. Long Pond, Harwich. Never fished here. I've heard A lot of good things. This is actually another really good safe place to pick. This is a huge tournament water.
Yeah.
Like, so this is a great spot to pick, and it's deep, but it's not crazy deep.
What's it max out at? Like
40. No, there's one little.
69, baby.
Hey, giggity. So, but yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of contour change and stuff. This is actually a really good example because now we're kind of like polar opposite of examples here.
Right.
Oh God! All right. So what kind of complicates this is there's smallmouth and largemouth here. I don't know what there is for structure. That's a whole other animal that you need to figure out for what's there. But
on top of that hump right there, on top of that submerged point, I am almost guaranteed there's going to be either rock or grass on it.
I'm guareteeing you
both.
That there's neither.
Really?
The thing that I have found about Cape Cod,
Sand?
is 100%.
Yeah.
It's just sand. There's almost no vegetation in so many of these damn lakes. And my sample size is small, but with the exception of 2 of the, I think, 13 or 14 different bodies of water I fished down at Cape Cod, there's nothing but sand. These people have nuked any sense of vegetation in all these ponds that I've fished. It is fucking difficult to figure out. There's like no goddamn rocks. It's just sand. Crystal clear sand. Everywhere.
I mean, the depth and the temperature is still going to change.
Yep.
And those fish are going to move with that. So
right. So
you still just fish.
Well, you know what? We can like I said, I'll go back to this point, reiterate it. Cape Cod is kind of its own animal because the complete lack of vegetation and overall structure is astounding. So we're going to pretend like this is any other kind of lake in New England that actually has things like rocks and vegetation, down trees, sunken trees, stumps, the whole 9 yards, unlike these giant featureless pits that just are everywhere on
So like
Cape
I
Cod.
said, that spot there
Could be
should
rocks.
have grass or rock.
Yeah.
Or both.
So, all right, if we're thinking smallies, early spring fishing, change gears here. A lot of what we talked about so far has been all about largemouth. Let's change gears for smallmouth.
Oh, Jesus.
I am curious where your first pick is because your guess is as good as mine because we have literally fished together for every early spring smallmouth trip.
I mean,
and it's a different animal when you go for early spring smallies. We typically go for largies.
I know. This spot could be really, really good.
Just
because there is there's deep water here, deep water here, deep water here. Everything kind of just funnels its way up.
Yeah, and inside of like a 50-foot swim, they could go from 7 feet to 50.
Right. Super. I mean, if there's going to be fish around this area and here, they're most likely going to move up in here, or, oh, Jesus. There's a whole nother point down there. Or
I've looked at this place before, and that's why I thought we should go look here because it is a stark contrast to what the last place was we looked at, where it's relatively shallow, all things considered. It's pretty consistent across the board. This is wildly varied, which is awesome. And Dogbone, we have never fished Long Pond Harwich. I would like to. It's a place that's been on my radar for many years now.
Is there an inlet here?
I think technically every place down there does have an inlet because the herring run.
Let's just say this is an inlet off a river. And there's pouring warm water in there. Say we got like a nice warmer water. We got a nice warmer rain, and this is pouring in. Those fish are probably going to push right up into this area here.
At what water temp would you say that would be most likely to start happening?
Probably low 50s.
I concur.
With smallmouth? Yeah. Smallmouth, I mean...
even largemouth.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of what we've seen on kettle ponds, too.
Yeah, true. It all translates to each other.
Yep.
But yeah, I would probably, if that was a river coming in with pushing in nice warm rainwater, warmer, this should be flooded with fish in here. I mean, all those bayfish are going to want to be in that warmer water. There's going to be bugs. There's going to be all sorts of stuff floating in the water where those bayfish can come up and eat. And those bass are just going to follow them right in and gobble them up, especially if the water is a lot warmer than Main Lake. They're going to be up shallow in these areas where the fresh water is coming in. I'm trying to see more of this lake. I've never even looked at it.
I can tell you one spot I would be looking at. If we're talking like mid-40s, You were just hovering right over it.
Ooh.
My turn.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so if we're talking mid 40s, low to mid 40s, they're gonna be the thing when they come out of winter. I feel like more often than not, they're still kind of towards mainland points. So this is a smaller body of water though, so things might change. You're talking about bigger body of water, like thousands of acres. Mainland areas, not middle of the lake, tend to be much, much more consistent. Not saying that they can't be out there, but I'm just saying that that's been by far the most consistent spots for us to look. Still need to be closer to deeper water when it's there, especially when you're talking about smallmouth. The other added caveat when you're looking for early spring smallmouth is it needs to be very close or adjacent to areas that do offer at least some sort of sizable, consistent depth, which is why I'm going to look right here. Because there's this little shelf. It's about 20 feet deep, so it's about the halfway point for the average max depth. I'm disregarding this 70-foot hole because it's an anomaly, right? You look at the rest of it, there's a considerable area of about 42 to 45 feet throughout this whole thing. And then you get this one little anomaly here that comes down to 70, but you still got 50 feet, high 30s, 30s. But if you come back up here, 40s, like a large area around 40. So your average max depth is about 40 to 43 feet, whatever you want to call it. So having something like this, where you do have a choke point for that deeper water, so depending upon what the bait fish are doing, how they're moving around, they're going to relate to these contours depending upon what depths they're at. They're going to have to come through here. There is a large ambush point. You have, I can zoom in a little bit here, large flat for them to rest on at varying depths too. You also have this consistent depth. If they want to move out over here a little bit where it starts to drop down a little bit deeper, they have a large area, but it's all adjacent to these sharp changes in depths in a very short period of time. But it also still offers a decent sized area of about 20 feet, about that halfway depth point for them. So like this is an area that I would look for to start. This is the other spot I saw. This is even better because you have a nice prolonged point that covers everything from the deeper-ist water, kind of some good transitions. They can ambush from either side. They do have a dwell area here. They have a dwell area here. They have another one. Like, look at how many different stages of dwelling / staging areas they have in one spot.
Whatever mood they're in, they have a spot for it right there.
In a very, very short period of time. Now, like, structure and everything's going to dictate what really where they're going to be. But again, we're making assumptions here just as a broad example of what would attract these fish to areas like this. Here's another friggin' great looking example of potential, generally speaking. Again, not specific to this pond. You've got these dwell areas, these kind of staging areas, these transition areas. It's got a very variety of depths and transition points. They can move in and out fast. They can make changes with it. I'm trying to think, what would be another good example on here? I would look right here too. Like this is kind of another one. You got this sharp drop in a deeper water. You've got a nice, good, kind of relatively consistent area. This might be a little small, to be honest, but it comes up sharp up to the flat. But then it's also adjacent to a really, really steep drop right here too, from very shallow to, again, some of the deeper average depth.
I mean, those aren't straight contour lines either. Like that stuff is jagged and moving around. And if it's sand, it's most likely like kind of big and wavy. And those fish will hide down in those spots where it kind of tucks in like a little pocket.
Yep.
Waiting for bait fish to swim by where they can come out and get them.
See, like I might go look at a spot like this, depending upon the conditions, if like those other places aren't good. But there's not a huge area of consistent depth here. And, adjacent to it, it's a little bit shallower. What is that, 34 feet kind of at the bottom of this. So it's a little bit different. I mean, it certainly has potential, and I certainly wouldn't overlook it. It's not going to be my first point because I'm not seeing enough of an area here for them to be able to pick one particular depth that they can really share with a lot of fish. You know what I mean? So that spot I might not look at. Same with here for the same reasons. I'm seeing little bump outs and stuff, but it's not a very extensive area that shares that same depth.
I mean, you can get the idea,
better.
Like even with deeper water into the shallower ponds, we're looking for those staging areas where they can just go from deep water up to shallow water, and from there they can go up to another shallow water flat staging area, whatever you want to call it.
So like these two spots right here, this 32-foot hole and this 30-ish foot hole, those are two other areas I'm going to look at. 'Cause look at this has literally everything in this area, right? You've got a good dwell spot. It's actually a little bit deeper than the other one. Now we're at 30 feet, which, yeah, more often than not, when we're talking bodies of water that have this kind of average max depth, this is starting to look really, really good here for what we found for consistency in the depths we find smallmouth this time of the year. Really, really steep transitions here.
And if they
Steep
want to
drop.
go down to 60 feet of water, they can right there. All they got to do is go, 100 feet?
If that, yeah, maybe like 200 feet from this point up into here, into this white area. But even if they don't want to go over that and they want to move around, they want to stay in that depth that they like to be in, let's call it 30 feet. Look at how much highway they have all along the front face of this. They can stay in 30 the whole way. And they have ambush points. They can hug up against that bank and dart out to get meals as they're going. All the way up and around here, kind of around the other side. They have another dwell area here. If that 30 foot all of a sudden becomes upwards of 25, 20 feet, they can just kind of roam this edge. They've got another dwell area here. Again, they've got another dwell area here at 30 feet. Like, trying to look at things like that. This is another spot as it gets a little bit warmer, I would absolutely look at, a little bit of a warming trend. They might slide along this. They've got spots they can jump up, but they still have deeper water over here if they want. But they've got this really good sized dwell area. They can kind of come over this hump, a little hole here. So you've got these transition areas here. Like, that's, again, there's so much more that goes into it for what would dictate where they would be. And a lot of that has to do bait
and weather. I mean, what's
available for them to ambush out of, to hold to. Although smallmouth tend to kind of roam the opens a little bit more often. But, as long as there's bait and there's something for them to kind of find those happy transition areas. Maybe we keep coming back to that. But god damn, is it consistent. It is not the end all be all. I cannot stress that enough. No, but it is not deadly consistent.
Yes. Nailed it.
Hey, thanks. Boat Potato. Sean and Andrew just run north 30 plus miles, PB open. Almost always one with Sleeping Sally's. Ooh. Almost 30 miles north. Wait. Like up here on the arm? I've looked at all these ponds just out of curiosity. Yeah, dude, look at this. 60-foot hole in this little tiny thing.
Look at that flat up top, though. What?
Wow.
That
looks like it was almost excavated because it's so consistent in the uniform.
It probably was. It's probably an old mine. An old salt mine or something.
Oh, shit. That'd actually be kind of cool if it was.
Right?
That's pretty cool.
Some buildings on there.
It's cool. Like, I've gone down and looked at all of these places. It's cool stuff. Mark, sorry. That map made me sadder looking at my area's current snow ice conditions. Yeah, sorry, buddy. There's a bunch of cool spots up there. But I tell you what, man, if you guys really want to learn what you're doing out there, if you're not putting in time on the maps, this is my number one tool. This is our number one tool. When we start talking about different areas that we want to fish, this is where we start. Mm-hmm. We start looking at places like this that has
look
this.
At that. Like, if you're like zoom all the way out. Zoom out. Out. All right. If you're looking at this, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to pick on, what's that, halfway pond that's you're right next to?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to really look at that because from that far out, it just looks damn
you can tell it's
consistent and shallow. Yeah. The one next to it, though, how those black lines, it almost blacks the whole lake out. That's like a magnet for me, for us, really. Like, you go in, you look at all that contour. Look at all the spots where those fish could be.
I tell you what.
I mean, it dropped, 90-something
I would love to fish this place, but I probably wouldn't pick it for spring.
No.
That's too deep.
No. That's like
in the summer, though? Spring and summer? Hell yeah.
That's like a
winter.
Post-spawn and into summer and the rest of the year type of fishery.
Yeah, I've desperately wanted to
drive that far for that.
Fish this place for a long time. This is a spot that I've had on my map saved for a long time, but I've heard it's not really good for bass. It's more for like salmon and trout and stuff.
But still, that's a really cool place.
Like that's looks like a glacial lake in New Hampshire.
It really does.
Looks like they took a cove out of Winnie and slapped it down on the Cape. Wow, that's a little too far north of the Cape. That just looks so cool. All those contours and stuff. That's a cool pond. There's a lot of features there. Yeah, there is. Like, look at this one section alone. There's a ton of stuff there.
That whole left side is probably all spawn flat.
Yeah. Mark, if I still have my paper maps, I'd be there, right there with you. I look at my paper maps too, but now I'm a computer nerd, so I look at everything like that. So I don't know. We looked at a lot of stuff down there only because like that's stuff that's open right now. I'm trying to think. What if we were to go a different route? While that's open, let me open a different map.
Speaking of which, I'll tell you after.
Okay, yeah, don't forget though.
I will.
If I looked,
You have a pen?
I do on my desk.
Okay, I'll grab it.
Hey, I'm pulling up Google Maps. I'm going to try and find a New Hampshire specific example. But this is something I want to look at with you all on satellite versus depth chart. But we're going to show you both. And there was a reason for that. Ah, my nose. Oh, Joe. All right, that's good enough. 30 horsepower limit, so we're not going there. What would be a good example that I don't mind sharing? Yes.
I got
that
it.
Makes me happy.
I got it.
Hell yeah. Champ. All right. Would this be a good spot? Let me check. Hang on. Oops. Before I go there, I'm trying to find like a very typical bland bowl, right? Your typical kind of kettle pond bowl that you would
Right there.
find pretty much everywhere. Yeah, I mean that's
That is pretty close to it.
and so this is yeah, there you go. Joe, small enough for trolling motor. This is a great example for it. In all fairness, I think the first pond we looked at would have been good. Maybe a little big for a trolling motor, but not bad. You could do it. This is absolutely trolling motor friendly. So I know I'm looking there.
Troll motor only.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, here's a good example. This is Zephyr Lake in Greenfield, New Hampshire. Jesus, I've been fishing this pond with my dad since 95 or 96. It's been a long time. It's a bowl. This is pretty straightforward, man. Boat launch is here. Like I can give you like intimate details about what is here. So this is actually a really good example for us.
And where to back the boat up on the launch.
Yep. So we'll start with this, and then we'll go to like random actual satellite imagery. But the boat launch here, it's anything but a bass boat. You get in there fine. Bass boat, you get it back in quite a ways before your boat will float off your trailer. It's doable.
It's a
but
sketchy launch.
if you're alone, you're getting in the water. I'm going to tell you that right now. And it's mucky, and it's just, I mean, it's
Gross,
pretty
and
hard
just-
packed though.
Yeah, but it's
You're still like, you're back in your truck in the lake quite a bit. So be forewarned for that. And then right here is a very, very, very shallow, dangerous rock pile. There is a rock that will stick out of the water, which I think we'll be able to see on satellite imagery. But this is a great example because this is only, Jesus, I don't know, like 50 acres?
maybe, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
probably
an
close, 50, 60 acres.
Yeah, it's an ideal trolling motor kind of pond. If you're out here immediately after ice out, I might tell you to wait another week or two. This is like, places like this are really good like 2 weeks after ice out.
Just knowing this place, I know that whole left side, like that whole area is going to be iced in for a while.
Yeah, because it's all like, this is all, when you come over here to the west,
got a
like
mountain
right there,
right there,
Gold
yeah.
Hill. And then you got Blanchard Hill too. So as the sun comes up out of the east, it kind of
Barely
blocks
touches
us a little bit, but like it does kill a lot of sunshine that you could get here. And then in the afternoon, you lose everything because of Gold Hill here. But this is just a good spot in general for a good example. So I would say back here towards the outlet, always good. There's aquatic vegetation. Like this is actually really spot on for what's here. A lot of this tends to be lily pads, but there is some submerged vegetation out here. But if we actually go, I need to present. Yep. Come on. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. No. Why can't I? I got to stop. Okay. Present. Share screen. It wouldn't let me do that. Google Maps. There we go. There it is. Okay. So when you're looking at this from a satellite imagery perspective, there's your rock pile. Don't go over that. It'll hurt. But then you got, pretty good lily pad patches and everything. You got the sporadic vegetation. A lot of this is wind, but you can see some stuff here, a little water trampoline and stuff. But what this place does have, which is kind of hard to see here, timber. Lots and lots of timber. Timber's your friend when it comes to early spring, especially you get some of that little bit of warming trend going on.
That wood warms up quick.
Bingo.
Real quick.
All the bait fish want to come up there real fast. Look at that. You got more timber here. And this is like really straightforward because the damn place is so shallow, relatively speaking, anyway, that there's no like stark contrast and difference for like, oh, well, they're not going to be over here because it's like 30 feet deep versus over here it's like 3 feet deep. Like this, it's
like
10 feet
over there
or
it's
shallower.
10 feet over there, and then they're probably going to be over there too because it's still 10 feet over there.
Yep. So like, this is all the north side. You get a lot of timber. This is going to get a ton of sun, especially this stuff right along this stretch. And then I can't share both screens at the same time. But you do have like, it drops off kind of fast right here. So you get a nice quick little transition. And I can tell you there are some sporadic boulders all over the place in here too. So you've got timber up shallow with boulders at the bottom of that kind of steeper drop. So you got multiple ambush points and points of opportunity for the largemouth to be able to ambush from and attack from. It's got a bit of everything. And then over here, it's about the deepest area of the lake, and same deal, like there's just sporadic wood, timber, whatever you want to call it, like all through here there's some random rocks and stuff. You come back to this rock pile, like again, this is deathly shallow, but you come around this side and it's all just kind of sporadic rock before it drops back down in the main lake. So like those are kind of key areas that you want to look at for these smaller bodies of water. I'm going to get up against the bank, but I'm going to work the bottom of the bank really, really early in the season. And I'm going to look for places. Oh, I'm like super miniature here. Hang on. Let me do this. Well, that doesn't work.
Hello. Hi.
Anyway, come back to this for a second. I'm going to look for banks that are like this, like 45 degrees or a little bit steeper. And if you have even just like 2D sonar to be able to look at things like this, then as long as you're marking bait fish, like just know you're in the right area. If you're in a spot down a stretch, you're not marking a damn thing, that's not the area you want to be in. You got to see some sort of activity because those bass are just going to keep following all that bait fish. Hey, Steve. Hey, yeah, Jerry, at least no gators.
At least no gators, yeah.
Mark. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't want to show those places. Not because we haven't been there. I'm not even going to elaborate, but no. In a really nice way, no.
Sorry, can't do it.
Yeah, like, you know what? I tell you what, if we were to continue going down this road, talking about the same things, we would just be reiterating the same points over and over again. Is there any questions for something that maybe we didn't elaborate on enough? Trying to give you, which Andrew did a phenomenal job of, a just, I guess, like general kind of overview of the areas you should be looking for and why. No, I don't think they killed the weeds there. Well, I don't know. Vermont's weird. Like I'm starting to hear more stories about more of these places where they're trying to kill the veggies entirely or just trying to like spot treat them a whole 9 yards. As far as I know, from what I've heard, Hortonia still has all their veggies. There's a couple other places up that way though that they're treating or they're trying to like just straight up nuke. And there's a lot of fights going on, which thankful for the people putting in those fights.
You're just going to kill the lake. Like, legitimately, you're just going to kill the lake. You're going to kill all the fish populations, and all the bait's going to just, like, not know where to go, and then everything's going to get eaten up quick, and then, ooh, look at that. There's no more fish in the lake.
Well, it's funny.
But they can go swimming, and it's going to be clean water, which is fine. But the natural inhabitants of the lake, they're all dead. They're gone.
They have nothing to survive and thrive from. And then, also, the water's going to get dirty. And stained.
We're not natural inhabitants of this land, so most of us.
Spot on. It's funny how like all these people, they want their quote unquote clean water to swim in, right? They don't want weeds touching their feet while they're swimming.
Ew, gross. Well, then don't go in the freaking water. Go to the ocean.
You guys all know this, and I guess for anybody that doesn't know, if you remove the weeds, you remove the filter for your lake.
That lake is gonna get disgusting,
dude. Like you know what?
Any of those lakes are just
Where I caught.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, where the milfoil took over, and it was the cleanest we have ever seen that lake ever.
Gin clear. And it was a place that's like tannic.
Like
forever.
Like St. Lawrence clear.
Gin frickin' clear. And that was a place, again, that was tannic. This like until the milfoil took over like a third of the overall acreage, it was just, I don't know, the average depth there is like 8 feet for the max depth. And you could see down like 4 feet on a really, really good day with like nice stable weather.
Yeah, really good day.
And the place is idle speed only too. So, and then the milfoil really took over, and the whole lake, the entire lake became gin clear. And it was weird. It was hard to get used to at
We
first.
were there like 2 years ago, and we're like, dude, what happened? This is either really good or really bad.
Yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous. And then they went in and they nuked it. They chemically treated the whole lake, and you couldn't see more than like 2 feet.
Yeah.
Just like that. Just overnight. It's all gone. And it's so funny. You know, they want a clean lake. And then they're like, what happened? Why does it look so stained and gross now?
Well,
because you removed the fucking filter.
Idiots. Nobody's going to want to go swimming in your dirty ass lake.
Yeah. Kevin.
Swim in Silver Lake and Hollis.
Yeah.
Gross.
Boom. Thank you, Jerry. For those of you who travel to the south, make sure you can locate shell beds and units. They are killer. Tell you what, they're also killer up here. Although you know that, Jerry. Turn them into deep structure lakes. Yeah, I mean, at that point, Kevin, all you're left with is whatever there's for like physical structure, like hard structure, rocks, timber, things like that. I tell you what, we were actually talking about this, you and I, when we were down in the Cape on Sunday. I'm surprised more bass anglers haven't put an artificial structure in your lakes down there, like in your deeper water. Like the guys down south that make like those like trees, like actual trees where they cut down like hardwood branches, sink a couple of them into a 5-gallon bucket, fill it with cement, and they sink those, or they make like the PVC structures. Like, they work phenomenal, primarily for like crappie and stuff, but if you have a booming bait fish population, then you can also have a booming bass population, better overall quality, and you actually have structured pinpoints, so there's variety in how you can approach a lake. Why aren't more of you guys down in Mass doing that? Just asking for a friend. I'll help.
They don't want to get in trouble.
I don't blame them whatsoever. In all fairness, like, how would
trouble
you
either? But at the same time, it's like it could be really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Candlewood was its third winter in a row now. They've drawn it down like hard in the hopes of killing that ring of vegetation all the way around it.
Don't do that. You guys are dumb.
But I don't want to
I'm not even a
swim in
biologist,
that.
and I know that's bad. Jesus.
Kevin, they do. Well, not in the lakes we've picked. Dude, there's a few lakes that we've picked that were like, we know that there are like a lot of people fishing. We're driving around with side imaging, looking at them. I can't see a thing. And I was like, how come we haven't found any like hard structure, like man-made structure out here?
We've fished
we
a
picked the
couple
wrong
that
places?
have had some hard structure down there.
True.
We just
It's
fished
like
at this. I was going to say spring, but it's not even spring yet. Like a month and a half ago with Steve Goodman. We were there. Tire piles.
Oh, okay, yeah, or yeah. There's that. Out of all the places we fished down there, that's the one.
Yeah, one.
And again, we fished, I think, like 13, 14, 15 different bodies of water down there. That's the only one I could think of where we actually found man-made structure stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's like really well known too.
Right.
I'm just kind of thinking about it in general, not making any point about that whatsoever. I don't know. Brendan, save your Christmas trees and drag them out, mark them on waypoint. There you go. Illegal in Vermont, I think, but they do it in Champ. Yeah, well, I mean, I know in New Hampshire it's 100% illegal, and they were going to do a study on it several years ago because, everybody down south, they found that there was promising positive reinforcing data that it could be beneficial to bodies of water. Yeah, these guys down south have been doing it for, decades?
Right.
But New Hampshire needs to do its own study to see if
but in New Hampshire,
good.
They can make scuba diving obstacle courses.
Right.
What the is that?
I wish I could understand it, man. I really wish I could. But yeah, you get caught doing that in New Hampshire, you're in big trouble. Don't worry, they're doing a 3-year study on whether or not adding something like submerged trees is good for fishing in general.
No, it's terrible.
Stupid.
It's not even good for the ecosystem or anything.
Well, I really should figure out a more constructive way to voice my opinion about things when it comes to things like this. But boy, I tell you, I can't because it's just so dumb. It's like,
and even if you bring the idea up to the state or anybody, they're just going to turn you down because they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, seriously.
They're just like, nah.
Either they don't have the interest or they don't have the fundage for it, for whatever the case. But, God forbid you rely on all the volunteers like us that would be happy, more than happy, to donate my time and resources to make that happen. That's not sarcasm. That is genuine. God, I would love to do that. I can think of a half dozen ponds I could rattle off right now if I didn't want to blow up my favorite spots that would greatly benefit from being able to put in, like, some of those artificial structures. But I would figure out a way. I wouldn't want to put concrete in there, but I would figure out a way to do something to sink like actual hardwood trees. Natural to the
I know
area.
what we could do. We could tie it to granite blocks because that's natural to our region.
Bingo. Oh, granite's arsenic, though.
Shut up.
They used to have divers physically pull weeds out in certain areas of Dunmore. Now they started nuking it, so that place got ruined too. You know what? We actually ran into that happening on Pawtuckaway.
Pawtuckaway during the tournament.
Was that this past year or the year before?
Yeah, this past year. They were scuba diving, and they were marking all the milfoil. I was like, oh, sweet. Now I know where the fish are going to be. Literally, like, pool tube buoys that they tied down to it, and yeah. It's whatever.
Yep.
You guys do you, I guess.
All right. You know what? I just realized it's 9:50. And we still have a lot of packing up to do for tomorrow for the New Hampshire Outdoor Expo. So I got to pack everything tonight, or at least get it lined up. But before you guys go, if you haven't dropped a like on the stream yet, holy shit, 50 of you did. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Please do so before you leave. And by all means, please, if you're interested, come on down to the New Hampshire Outdoor Expo this weekend. We're there all day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Come over, hang out, shoot the breeze, buy some apparel from us, decals, be it, whatever. Anything you guys are willing to do would be hugely appreciative. And then once I clear out this inventory, I can get more inventory, which would be good. And I've got, and I tried to get a different kind of hat in for the show, but my normal supplier couldn't get it done. So I found another one. I'll make that work for after the show. Things have to happen. There's a lot of money being involved here. So if you guys are interested, come down to the show. There's a ton of vendors. Like, I believe this is the biggest year that Dan has had for the number of vendors that are going to be there, and there's going to be a lot of great ones. Excuse me, I saw Jamie in here earlier. Sematus Baits is going to be there. Rocky Ledge Tackle, MGC Fishing.
Fresh Baits.
Crazy Hick Bait Company.
Yep.
I'm forgetting so many. I know there's more.
They're all going to be there.
Yep, New Hampshire Fishing Game is there. Maybe I can actually have a good discussion with them about, New Hampshire and their funding and bass fishing. I won't. Anyway.
I will.
There's some good dudes there.
Hey,
I haven't had a bad. I would never trash talk any of them because I've never had a bad experience with them. They're all wicked good people. Yeah. Everyone I've ran into, they've been good dudes. And that's not me like trying to kiss ass and save face.
And it ain't
I
them.
don't do that. It's just
their
genuine.
higher-ups that suck.
Yeah, it's whoever's responsible for the decision making. Whatever. We digress. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Appreciate you. Mountain Road Trading Post. Thank you very much. There, all sorts of kayaks. Granite State Sticks. You guys going to be there like as that in support for them? Are you doing your own thing? I can't remember. Tammy, refresh my mind, please. But yeah, it's going to be good. And then, Alex, see you Sunday. Bring the checkbook. I will tell you right now, for us, cash is king. Venmo and PayPal secondary. That's all we will be able to accept. So please plan accordingly for that. I'll make sure I put up a post on Facebook and Instagram and all that. So hopefully make it easier for you guys that are there. I'll have change on hand for, cash transactions, make your life easier. Nice. Granite State Sticks will be there. So it'll be good. So anyway, we have guests lined up for the next few shows. I got to get that squared away. Maybe not the next one, but if not the next one, then the ones after that. Like I think I've got 3 different guests lined right up. So it's going to be good. Anyway.
Sweet.
Oh, don't forget Stone Man Lures.
Stone Man.
I almost wanted to say Stone Mountain, but that's a Call of Duty streamer. He's been around a long time. Stone Man Lures is going to be there. It's going to be great. Okay, you sign it off, buddy.
Oh, the pickles.
Yeah, Pickle Man's going to be there. I wonder if the root beer guy's going to be there. I forgot.
Oh.
Root beer man was pretty good.
But anyway, we will see you guys next week, like always, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at youtube.com/Reel Nothern Bass. We will see you next week.